Hi and welcome to TMG Movie Reviews. I'm Rick.
I'm Andrew, and today we will be discussing Chasing Amy from 1997, written and directed by Kevin Smith, his follow-up to Mallrats. This film was quite a big commercial success when it came out. It was budgeted at just $250,000 and it went on to make about $10 million in the US, and it pretty much cemented Affleck's reputation as a leading man. And it was also followed by the slightly more controversial but less well received, sadly, Dogma. For those who don't know the story, Ben Affleck plays Holden McNeil. He's a comic book writer for a comic called Black Man and Chronic with his best friend Banky, played by Jason Lee. And the two of them have been friends for about 20 years, and then suddenly at a comic book convention, Holden meets Alyssa, played by Joey Lauren Adams, who they begin a relationship which is hampered by various things, one of those things being that Alyssa is a lesbian, and Brody starts to dig up some rather unsettling truths about Alyssa's background. I like the film a lot. I think it's a very solid sort of anti-romantic comedy. I like the fact that it's dealing with human sexuality in a way that I hadn't seen dealt with before. I like the fact that it's dealing with young people, and the guys in this film, they're in their early 20s, and I saw this when I was in my late teens, and it sort of resonated a lot with me. I do like it a lot. I think it's not Kevin Smith's best film, but it's definitely one that I like a lot and I've revisited quite a few times. But let's see what Rick thinks.
I'm not as big a fan of it. I didn't really like it. It's I'm a fan of Kevin Smith films. Like, I love Mallrats,
Yeah,
really like Dogma. It's a really dialogue heavy movie, and just nothing actually seems to happen in it. It addresses some like really important issues. It addresses like the perceptions of homosexuality at the time, and the themes are something that I do like about it. But I just, when I was watching it, it just sort of, it felt like nothing was happening. It was all dialogue between these characters.
I think there's something that's been levelled at Kevin Smith, and something he admits himself is he's not a great visual filmmaker. He's not someone who is great with camera angles and cinematography, so a lot of his films are scripts on screen, and I think the thing about Chasing Amy is it would have worked really well as a play, maybe just a two-hander between Alyssa and Holden, because it's a lot of it is big scenes, and I think what I like about the film is the big sort of moments that are not set pieces but big dialogues, like this scene here which takes place near the end is at a hockey game, and Holden starts to question Alyssa about her past, and then they go out to the hockey arena and they have a big row, and Alyssa basically tells Holden what she thinks of him and what she's done and how she's not ashamed, and it looks, you know, the camera sort of is a bit wobbly. I think it's handheld and it's not particularly breathtaking to look at. But I think the dialogue sells it for me. I like it as an exercise in dialogue and an exercise in human relations. I do admit the performances are not 100%. I think the guys, Affleck is very good as this slightly bemused, slightly not terribly bright guy who's falling in love with a woman who's sort of unobtainable, really. I think Jason Lee is phenomenally good as Banky, a man who's just absolutely vile in every way, and I think we've all, at one point or another, known someone a bit like Banky in our lives. Whether we want them as a friend is another matter, but the downside for me, what did you think of Joey Lauren Adams? Because she really, just her voice just alone just really grated.
She just wasn't that much of a likeable character either, because she's sort of telling him lies from the get-go. I mean, she's screaming in his face saying like, I can't be with you because I'm gay, I can't be with men. And then you find out later she's been with men, and she's holding a lot back from him and then getting very annoyed at him for discovering this about her.
I suppose there's a bit of a double standard going on here. I mean, there's the famous scene from the Chasing Amy scene when Silent Bob, played by Kevin Smith, says, you know, I shouldn't have judged my ex-girlfriend who had a past, a sexual past. But then at the same time you do think, well, you know, Alyssa, if you really loved Holden, you would have just been honest from the get-go. As a youngster, when I watched it for the first time, I sort of went with Ben Affleck, and I thought, well, what's your problem, you know? So she's had a past, but then, as Rick says, the amount of lies that she tells him, it's never going to really work as a relationship, and even if, you know, she is his true love or whatever, it's not a relationship that can work, because it is based on a lie. And now as I watch it back, I do sort of side with Holden and say, you know, well, maybe Alyssa's wrong. If she hadn't lied to him, they could have had a relationship, and it's a shame that she did.
One of the things I will say that the movie does well is it's sort of all the main characters, I think at one point or another, all question the sexuality. Yeah. And I think it handles that really well, and I think that's probably one of the most interesting things to watch. What the scene that sort of stole the movie for me was just Kevin Smith. I think the Chasing Amy monologue, it was just the high point of the whole movie. Apart from that, like I said, it just seemed to, because it was such a dialogue heavy movie, it just seemed to sort of drag out and go on, and not a lot actually happened in it. So for me, I'd probably give the movie a 2.5 out of 5. Like I said, it wasn't my favourite Kevin Smith movie. I know a lot of people love this movie, and like I said, I think the themes are good, but it just felt like a bit of a chore to watch for me. So
I'd give it a 4 because I do like it, and there is times I'll go back and watch it again and do enjoy it. And I have to give special mention to Dwight Ewell and his brilliant scene about Star Wars, about the Holy Trilogy that takes place at the beginning of the comic book convention. I think that's a really spot on scene. It's a scene you could watch individually from the rest of the film and get a lot out of. But yeah, I'd give it a 4. I think it's a good solid film about young people dealing with their sexuality, dealing with issues that hadn't really been dealt with before, and I don't think have since. But if you're looking for a great Kevin Smith film, I wouldn't start with Chasing Amy. I would go back right to the beginning, back to Clerks, which is stand out for me, is still his funniest film. And do check out Chasing Amy, it's an interesting film.
Thanks a lot for watching.
Thank you, goodbye.